everybody. Welcome this evening to StratiVentures Monday Night Industry webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. My name is Melo, and StratiVentures is a company that's a team built by investors for investors. So today we're going to learn about a really important topic that whether you're new or seasoned, somewhere along the line of your career, you may have encountered some of these mistakes, or if you're forecasting to be a real estate investor, you might want to think about these things ahead of time. I can definitely tell you that we learned these along the way. And so we've been punched, we've been dragged, but most of all, the reason why we do what we do is to help our industry. And most of all, make sure that people have a safe journey in real estate investing, because it's amazing. And I believe everybody should have a fair chance at being successful in this. So my name is Diego. The name of the company is StratiVentures, and I look forward to your time this evening, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. So let's go ahead and get started here. All right, let's see here. So at 6:30, it's basically our welcome, in which we're doing that right now. At 6:35, I'll go ahead and start the speaking topic, and then around 7:10, we'll open it up for questions and answers. For those of you that are participating with us this evening, just know that in your Zoom, at the bottom of the screen, you'll have a couple of very important buttons. All of the questions need to be in the Q&A section, and the chat portion, that's with the moderators. That's if you have an outside, more private type question, or something outside of what the topic is. So make sure we have all the questions in the Q&A section so we can go ahead and answer those. Also, if I do get boring here, guys, no, it's not going to hurt my feelings. Feel free to just end the webinar, but I'll thank you for your time in advance. And so this event and all StratiVentures events are created for you guys. So try to make it the best, and we encourage questions all the time. And so to get to know us better, we're offering one-on-one training sessions for free. And just for us to get to know who you are and vice versa. So you can go to investorrealestatetraining.com. And you can register for a one-on-one session there and see if we might be a good match. A little bit about myself. So I was born in Colombia, South America. At a young age, I came to live in the United States. So I primarily live here in the city of Houston with my wife, Kate, and my son, Aiden, who is a senior and just recently started getting his college acceptances coming in. So this past week has been a very exciting time for us, and we're very proud. I was a mortgage broker and an asset manager prior to becoming a real estate investor back in 2012. And I founded StratiVentures in 2012 with my business partner, Michael Bowers. In 2014, we began training and partnering with new and seasoned investors, creating the platform which creates a true investor, and we can help them succeed. And that's something more along the lines that you'll get to find out more about StratiVentures if you guys want to have a little sit down with us and see how we can help you out. In StratiVentures, we have over 1,000 members and growing. We have offices in Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. Those are great markets if you're thinking about investing in Texas. And in June of this year, COVID kind of forced us to go outside of our backyard a little bit. And we launched the company national, and we have a national platform now, which we're working with major players now in regards to their support, and also helping a lot of their member base become successful investors. And primarily, knowing the motto and the mission of the company is how you want to find out is, am I going to be able to work with them, or do I want to work with them? So the StratiVentures motto is, it's a win-win or we don't do it. It's really that simple, guys. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, in this slide right here, the avenues of real estate. What many different ways can you monetize, or does risk appear itself in real estate? We have wholesaling, rehabbing, rentals, new construction, private money lending. I can't stress any more the people that have capital to invest. And then at the end of the day, there are common mistakes that are made there, because I've got the money doesn't automatically make you the smartest cookie in the room, right? But all of that is SVI can help you with that to mitigate that risk. Short-term rentals, ideally things like Airbnb, and short-term rentals also with a company called PadSplit, in which we're going to be engaging in some very good ventures with here in the coming future. Residential assisted living for everybody that needs to and wants to know more about the assisted living programs that are existing. And a lot of the future cast growth of people of a certain age, and a lot more people coming into the market that need quality assisted living, and also good operators that want to take part in that. Realtors, understanding that there's risk in getting your license, right? And understanding in that mentality is, should real estate or should realtor, becoming a realtor be something for you? So, and inspectors and contractors, guys, these are all different avenues of real estate in which you found yourself becoming a real estate investor, but you may be pulled into any of these avenues. But at the end of the day, each one of them holds a certain value of mistakes and risk. So let's move on to here. These are going to be the 5 total common mistakes that I want to address today. One is your role in the business and the avenues in real estate, assumptions and understanding, the moving parts of the project, and due diligence and implementation. And last but not least, credibility in your business and people in your industry. Here's where we have identified through working with so many people that these 5 common mistakes, if they're addressed and also some form or fashion identified, you are going to have a higher rate of success in this business. So we'll start to break it down little by little. And guys, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section. And then I'll be happy to go ahead and answer those in the Q&A portion. So first, let's understand your role, guys. You know, so you got into real estate because you probably saw a TV show, or it's always been an interest or something that has piqued your thoughts and your abilities because of real estate. So we have to understand that first and foremost, what we are risk managers and investors. We're not technicians. And when I want to differentiate the risk manager, the investor, and the technician, is that the risk manager and investor work hand in hand. So you can wear both those hats to mitigate your risk. The technician side, that's more of working in your business than on your business, in which we always want to work on our business. So it's very important that you understand the real true definition of what a risk manager, ideally an investor, is. So at SVI, and we tell this to a lot of people that work with us or wanting to work with us, that an investor analyzes, acts, invests, and makes profit with one word in mind, and that word is risk. So let's think about right now and ask yourself this question. How risky are you to your business? How risky are you to your industry? And how risky are you to the next deal that you're going to do when you touch all of these 4 check marks right here? If analyzation is a high risk, and contractors and repairs are a high risk, and investing that you get is a high risk, let's assume that your profits are going to be 0 to none, but your experience will grow. The problem with real estate investing, guys, is that the more times that you fail at it, it's not losing $100. In some cases, it's tens of thousands of dollars. So you really don't get that ability to go and swing at the baseball, or how many more times at bat do you get, right? We've interviewed probably thousands of people in our lifespan, and worked with a lot of real estate education companies because we get a lot of their members to help them. And all of that at the end of the day falls down to what risk and how risky they are to the industry. So it's very important that you guys remember this. Assumption and understanding. So let's take a look at this. Realtors, okay? What do you know about them, and what do they know about you? Don't assume that you know exactly what a realtor does, and they'll also make sure they don't assume that they know what you do. Because just because you're in the same real estate business doesn't mean you guys are both speaking the same language. So it's very important as a business owner that you guys understand what each person that you're going to be working with does for you. And most of all, how can you help them be better, and vice versa, how they can help you be better. That, guys, is one of the most common mistakes, is not understanding who your counterparts of your business are. And that comes with a simple business to business conversation, and also understanding what your goals and direction are, guys. Wholesalers, this is a big one, probably one of the biggest ones in my book. Don't assume that they have your best interest in mind, because they don't, guys. They understand the fact that they have to bring an opportunity to market with the lowest risk on their side, and then present it to the highest value or the highest purchasing person or investor, all based off the merit of their data. Biggest mistake there is assuming that their data is correct. And also the mistake is that you don't get to make them understand why that data is incorrect because they never give you the opportunity to validate or state your case. That is the unfortunate part of wholesaling, is that it is the first step in real estate that every real estate education company or any platform out there teaches, is the fact that first thing you want to be is a wholesaler. Well, that's because it has the lowest cost to bear coming in. You don't take on as much liability. You don't have little to no money involved in the transaction. So let's go ahead and do it. But the problem is that is such a huge catalyst to the beginning of a large problem. So again, don't assume that your wholesaler's information is correct, but also make sure that you can make them understand why that is. And a good wholesaler will listen to you and have you state your case with valid information. Repairs needed, for example, contractors and project management. Repairs needed, repair cost estimates, and who should supervise. Wow. You've probably seen these TV shows where people who don't have prior real estate experience take on a project themselves. I came from the financial industry, and when I told my wife that I was going to start remodeling houses, she laughed at me and said, Diego, you don't even cut the grass at home. So why was I going to start quoting mechanicals, electrical, plumbing? I didn't know what the cost of sheetrock was per square foot, or laying down tile or granite. And so everybody comes in with an assumption that because they got a great education and a great bit of information, that they're really going to understand the repair values, what needs to be repaired. And most of all, because it's your project, you should supervise, right? No, that's probably the fastest way to kill your deal, because you have the wrong person driving the ship there. Now, how do you combat that? You know, obviously we recommend using project managers and having those conversations. And so making sure your contractor and your project manager all understand about your business and where you're going and what your risk tolerance. Remember, I keep saying that word risk, guys, because it's probably one of the most important words in your career as an investor. Selections and design. Okay, this is a good one for me. I actually, you know, getting involved with real estate investing, I've been very fortunate to be able to visit a lot of projects that were done by HGTV type companies. And we look at the data and analyze it. And sometimes, because of the value of being exposed to general media and TV, they're over rehabbed, you know, and creates that emotional factor to where we want to put a $30,000 kitchen package in a $250,000 to $300,000 house. Doesn't make sense. You're never going to get the value of your investment to the value of the sale of the property. And the majority of the time, those projects end up not getting the value or the returns that are desired. The only difference is that they don't pay for those materials. We do. So we have to assume that cost. And so down here at the bottom, it says HGTV, do it yourself mentality and education. Well, get ready, guys. You will be doing it all yourself, which means if you go in thinking that you can supervise your contractors and let them know how flooring is supposed to be installed, or why are they going off the scheduling or budgets, a lot of contractors will just simply walk away, and people will blame your contractors saying they didn't want to work with us or they were bad contractors. It's no, they just simply gave up on you because you were assuming that because you're the person whose project this is, you're the person that dictates the project here. No, let the professionals guide you. Now, how do you minimize that risk, guys? Interview every single person within these 4 points: realtors, wholesalers, contractors, and your selections and design people, because that's really going to keep you from making those mistakes along your project. So as you guys can see, mistakes happen from the beginning, and they happen from not even starting a transaction. They happen from the people you're meeting. So that leads me now into knowing that if you start a deal that has the wrong people involved in the transaction, your deal is always going to have moving parts. So we've identified that these are the 3 main moving parts that occur in a real estate transaction. Number 1, your comparables, which are your after repaired values. They are going to change during your project, guys, as the market changes sooner than you think. For example, I'm gonna give this as an example here. Recently, because of COVID, people in certain neighborhoods it was pretty much a seller's market because the demand was great. The projects were on the ground. All of a sudden, COVID hit. You had March, April, May, June, July, August, and then there's a saturation of properties, and now it became a buyer's market overnight, and that was probably less than 3 to 4 months because people weren't buying houses. They were waiting to see what the economy was going to do, most of all the pandemic, and also, what direction in general the society was going to take with what we're going through. So make sure you fully understand your comparables and start to forecast with past reference and data. And you need to have a good real estate agent in which you vet out and trust be able to give you that information. So what's the common mistake there, guys? You're assuming your ARV is going to be your starting ARV from what you did your deal with, what you started your deal with. Not all the time, guys. So make sure you always know that there may be changes in the ARV and adjust. The other one here that's big is your rehab. Repair costs are going to change. They're going to change a lot even in mid-project. And you may need more money to finish the project. I talk to contractors and to builders. A builder starts from ground up, so we know budgets. A rehab, as you're continually going in there, things are going to change. So make sure you have contingencies. That's a big word, guys. Contingency is such a player in this business. So always make sure you have enough contingency budget built into the money that you're going to use for your repairs. It's really disheartening sometimes when you see somebody right at the last 100 feet of the marathon and they run out of gas. In our business, that's called capital. Make sure you over allow and make sure you always have contingencies of dollar amounts. Usually I like to have about a 10% contingency on repair values, but I also make sure I have a 5 to 7% contingency on capital allowment. That means for whatever reason, if you have to go in and pull more capital for debt servicing, which are your monthly payments, or you have to go ahead and do some change orders, you have the capital available. And a lot of times if you're using a private money lender, they will understand why. Why are you asking for more money? So common mistake there is not even asking for additional capital for mistakes. So make sure you guys ask. The last one here is called your exit strategy. You went in thinking this was going to be a rehab. Markets changed, buyers to seller market, and you found yourself not being able to sell the property. Did you think that was never going to happen? Guys, this is real estate. There's risk in that. So the common mistake there is not being able to know that you may be faced with refinancing a property on a conventional level to make it a long term, which means you have to get conventional financing. Have you asked yourself, will I be able to get conventional financing? Well, if you've never tried preliminarily to get pre-approved and you're now a real estate investor, I highly recommend talking to a mortgage consultant, finding out what they need for you in the future and start preparing for that. Now, we've been very fortunate that because of the hard money industry and the conventional industry kind of working on opposite sides of the spectrum, we've started to see a lot more asset-based lenders come in there. And asset-based lenders are going to fall more onto the validity of the project, which means it takes a lot of weight from us on the qualification side. And because rates are so low, they're kind of somewhere in between, which means your transaction will still work on the long term until you get your conventional approvals or any of your conditions met. So these guys are the three things. It's the moving parts in the transaction, which are your ARV, your repairs, and your exit strategy. So common mistake there to have in mind is forecast every single one of these that something may pop up, and it will, guys. So just remember that. Another important thing, guys, here is your due diligence. I can't say any more about this. Number one, vetting out the source. Data does not lie, but your source will. So you guys know who's out there. You know, you have the people presenting opportunities with false data or data that hasn't been reviewed, old data or unreliable data. And it's all about how they present that transaction to you. Is at the end of the day, everybody's going to want to present something to you that really isn't the correct data. So that leads now into vetting out the deal. You know, so numbers do not lie, but emotions do. So now you're receiving this information from the source that may not be credible. And then you look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie, but your emotional state of wanting to get into a transaction, the common mistake there is you put an emotional value to that. And now all of a sudden your budgets for repairs are 30,000 and you really need a $50,000 repair budget. So in your mind, you're like, oh, we can make this happen. I'll paint the house. I'll help with the contractor. I'll minimize and find lower cost supplies. That's the problem there. You're assuming these things on an emotional base, which at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't have emotion. So guys, common mistake there is take the emotions out of it. It's okay to say no. It is okay to tell a wholesaler, this is my bottom line. Call me if you don't sell it. My offer still stands the same as it was today to 3 to 4 weeks when you need to sell it. So stick to your guns, guys, and also know that keep the emotions completely out of this. And this business is very exciting. Let's keep that on the, let's keep the emotion and the drive there, but let's take away that other emotion there, guys. Now, common numbers left out of a deal presented by a third party. You guys have probably seen this. And if you have, keep your eyes on these. Taxes are never included. Closing costs, surveys and appraisal cost, front and back end realtor fees, and your average holding cost. So let's think about this. Common mistake is the wholesaler who who made the offer to the seller got that deal because he said, we will pay all of your closing costs. We will take care of the property as is. Okay, well, if they said that, then the wholesaler needs to consider these variables such as taxes, closing costs, realtor fees, to a certain level in averages, and introduce those into the transaction. And now the hit to you really isn't that much. Now, I'm not saying discount everything from the seller, no, because that's why there's certain percentages that need to be followed. But when it is presented to you, the wholesaler to the investor, you'll see things like this: ARV 100,000, purchase 70,000, profit 30,000, and so they're saying there's a $30,000 profit. Guys, I'm assuming then they know of a title company that costs $0 to close. Realtors are working for free, and free money is coming out of the woodwork in order to make this happen. So make sure your numbers are always based, including all of these variables that the industry offers you information on. Everybody can find taxes in the general property tax records. Closing costs on average can be anywhere between 2% to 2.5%. Surveys and appraisal fees on average are going to run around $750 to $600 for everything. And then obviously we know realtor fees front and back can encompass a 6% holding costs, realtor fees. But your holding cost, that's what you consider. That's depending on whether you're going high price hard money loan. Do you have a conventional loan or a line of credit out there that you can use? Or do you have private capital? So that probably would be the only one that I would say it's hard for them to hit the nail on the head, but all the other ones are basically industry numbers. Implementation, guys, timeframes. Can your contractor finish on time? Okay. I hear this so many times, and I hear this, from a lot of people, is that for every $10,000 is a week's worth of work. Contractors have told us that, and I've heard it from other investors, is ask them, really, can you show us how you're going to make this $10,000 work? And at the end of the day, you want to know their game plan. My biggest question is how many people on the crew and what is their action plan? A contractor will come out to meet those timeframes with the whole crew, and then all of a sudden it's down to a skeleton crew and there's 50% worth of work left. No, you want to know how many people are going to be on the project according to every draw and according to what their action plan is. If a contractor can't give you that information, then that means they don't know their scheduling. It's kind of like knowing, you know, which players to put in depending on what quarter it is. You know, is it 2 minutes before the game is? I mean, are you down to penalties? I mean, are you in the you know, the last half of the game? It's good that you ask these questions. The common mistake is you're relying on the contractor to tell you, oh yeah, we'll finish on time, guys. Budgets, you know, can your contractor finish with minimal overages? It's okay to ask a contractor, I know we may go over budget, but can you give me a number approximately what you're thinking we might go over budget with? It's better, you know, because your contractor is always going to tell you this: we are on schedule. I know cabinets haven't come in and we should be done in about 2 weeks. What do you think the appropriate question would be there? Cabinets were supposed to be in last week, according to your milestone, according to this checkpoint. Can you tell me, are they even delivered? Are they on a truck? Where are they? And a lot of times with these types of very sensitive questions, you may want somebody in between, an intermediary, like a project manager. You know, SVI members use a project manager for every transaction, and that transaction means now that the message and the pressure or the indirect pressure is coming from an industry type person, the project manager to the contractor. So they can speak the same language. If you are an investor talking to a contractor and you kind of put them on the spot, the first thing that will always happen is, what do you know about contracting or general contracting, Mr. Investor? So they automatically start to feel animosity, and there'll be friction. And then all of a sudden your project crew goes down from 5 guys to 2 guys, and then you're the last project on the list, and all of a sudden you wonder why you're over budget, because time is everything. Everything, guys, including money here. So highly recommend. Mistake is when your contractor's telling you about time frames and scheduling, can they finish? Ask. Don't assume that they've got it. Always ask, document it, write it down, and most of all, share all that information with a third party like a project manager via email, because that puts a third party in between, like a mediator, okay? And last but not least here, sales, guys. You know, can your realtor sell the property fast with minimal price drops? It would be great if all of the property sales happened with 100% of list, no contingencies. Here's the offer, let's sell it. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, guys. The market has, in other words, gotten very, very competitive. Buyers now have so many tools such as the internet. They can do their research, which means they're absolutely coming in well armed. And so we have to expect certain types of drops. So one of the best things to do is ask your realtor is, how are you going to sell this? Are you the right realtor? What's your game plan? What are you thinking about your listing presentation? Are you writing up your own listing information, the language on the listing? Or what kind of contingencies do you think we're going to face? What kind of time frames are you expecting in which we have to get to before we do a price drop? It may be an area where it's 30 days on market, but your seller hasn't, your realtor hasn't gotten an offer in 15 days from when you listed it. Why are you dropping the price? Let the market do what the market needs to do. That's a sign of a real estate agent, either whether waiting for traffic to come to them or waiting for days on market to come to drop the price. But proactively, you should have known what their action plan was, because you should have asked those questions before you even gave them the listing. So the common mistake there is, guys, again, we need to ask. We need to see results. We need to kind of vet them out and see if they're going to be the right person for your transaction. Another thing leading here with the sales and realtors, guys, I know a lot of people have friends that are realtors. There's the friendship, there's the business, right? You can probably apply more pressure without having to worry whether that realtor is going to like you or not like you, but you're going to have second thoughts of doing that if it's with a friend or somebody who's a family member that says they're a realtor, guys. keep them completely separate, because you can actually turn the heat up a little bit more and get results there, guys. Let's take a look here. And finally here, credibility, guys. This is the biggest mistake of all. So here is credibility in your business. So credibility, the definition is the quality of being trusted and believed. If you have not built credibility in yourself and in your business, you will always be working with the uncredible people in your business. I ask a lot of the SVI members, how is your deal intake coming along? And they go, well, I got a lot of deals coming in, but 90% of them don't make sense. Okay. Have you prioritized which wholesaler is sending you these deals, and then kind of had a business to business conversation with them now to they know your direction and how you research and do your business and how they do it. So now you're probably going to get a better intake of deals because both of you guys know each other's credibility, right? Now, another thing is I've had members or other people tell me, well, I don't have credibility. I just started. So how do I gain credibility? Well, here, your goal is to gain credibility by these 4 ways. Action, right? Taking action. A lot of people don't take action because they are uncomfortable with making an offer, or there is the confidence level of knowledge, or at the end of the day, they just don't trust themselves in everything that they're looking at. Well, guys, taking action is on the practical side, but also you need to take action on the educational side. You need to get yourself educated, because with knowledge and that power, it makes you more confident, which allows you to throw more offers. And at the end of the day, if that's the ability, you're going to gain more experience, guys. And just because you're well educated and done more practical in learning, that experience is going to come with success, and that experience is going to come with failures, guys. If you haven't failed in this business in tiny, tiny little portions, get ready for when you do, it's going to be a major failure, and everybody goes through it. This business does have probably one of the highest failure rates that I've seen in any other industry, just for the fact that we can control that failure rate, guys. The ball is always in our court. So make sure that we work with credible people. Make sure that if you are starting a path of real estate investing, that you align yourself with people that are there and that know and understand your role, understand your direction, and also understand the risk that you are in yourself and your business as you grow. So, you know, at the end of the day, we are in the people business, guys. First and foremost, we are in the people business. So I know this was a lot of information. You know, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's also things that this business has is very fruitful. And I think one of the biggest things that is not a mistake is that you need to know that you should always be moving forward. Always understand that you have people there that are there to guide you. Always know that it's okay to ask questions. Try not to have as many you know, or what did I just do moments. At SVI, we get those all the time. And it usually is after we meet somebody and talk to them about what SVI is all about. And then we meet them after the moment comes. And so we kind of look at them and go, what's the And the is that they're in a deal. They've put money down. They ask us to vet and kind of, you know, mitigate the hazards or future cast risk of this potential project. And all of that could have been avoided by simply getting to know us a little bit better, guys. Whether you work with us or not, whether we're a part of your business or we are just people that you come and visit us every Monday from 6:30 to 7:30, it's perfectly fine. But we definitely want to work with a lot of people. And so right now, I think would be a great opportunity to answer some questions. And as always, I like to keep these sessions or these webinars open to asking questions, guys. This is the best time for you to ask questions, because I really, really feel that we can help a lot of people. So let's see here. Enid, do we have anything? Let me see here. Let me take the chats. Let's see here. All right. Let's see right here. All right, I see some on our list. We have some old, uh, let's see. Yeah, we got some new names on here that we've got, guys. If you guys feel free to ask questions, be happy to help you guys out and answer any questions that you might think you're facing or might be facing, or how, you know, any which way that I can help you guys answering any questions. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions. While we're doing that, also know, guys, that you can get to know us a little bit better. And you can register for our 101s encompassing any of these 5 topics at www.investorrealestatetraining.com. And that landing page has a lot of information that you're more than welcome to look at. We have some of our course information, and we also have videos there that you guys can take a look. So let's see here. All right, let's see here. All right, so let me see here. Who do we have right here? All right, so we have an anonymous question that came through here. What is the common mistake made in identifying an area? That's a great question. When you're identifying an area, is one of the most common mistakes I believe in that we see is that people think that their own backyard is going to be the market area in which they want to work. There's a reason why you live in that area, but there's also a reason that that area might not be conducive to your investing business. Investing has to have profit margins. And to have profit margins means there have to be differences of value between as is to the repaired. And if you're in an area and that you do see that your prices are good, your school districts are good, you may not have a lot of opportunities there. So it's better to go outside of your market area. And a lot of times, the best way to identify that has to do with national retail, local and national retail. You'll see that areas that have your Whole Foods and your central markets, all of that, really don't have a need for our services or the things we do, for the reason being that they probably have people that take care of all their information or take care of all of their financial matters. So look at the national retail, because that really dictates the certain economic standpoints of every area. Let's see here. We had a question that says, what do you think is the best strategy to invest in flooded home areas? Okay, that's a great question. First and foremost, guys, if you are investing in any flooded area, knowing that we've had a lot of flooding happening in the state of Texas and other areas, you know, natural disasters are very prevalent now. Look at what the cost of the insurance policies are going to be. That is huge. Look at the cost of what the insurance policies are going to be. Even though that area may have not flooded, but you may be in a 100-year or a 500-year floodplain, look at what the cost of the insurance policy is going to be. Anytime we look at an area, we'll call our insurance provider and say, hey, we're thinking about buying in this area. Can you tell me what the flood insurance is going to be? Some cases, $3,500 a year. But if we get an elevation certificate, which costs, I think, anywhere between $250 to $300, it brings it down to $800 a year. That certificate is a justification of certifying that the property does meet a certain elevation level, in which gives them a little more confidence in giving you a lower cost insurance policy. Let's see here. See if there's another question. All right. All right, we have another question here. Let me open that up here, guys. What are the main questions in vetting out a wholesaler? Oh, okay, that's a good one. Vetting out a wholesaler is probably, I believe, one of the most important things that a real estate investor can do, but it's the least time that most people spend in real estate investing. A wholesaler's duty and job and business platform is to find opportunities to present to investors. Because they find them doesn't mean the information is correct, but most of all is it's not the property that you're looking at the beginning, it's the person who's giving you that information. I always like to ask wholesalers questions such as, number one, what's their background in investing? Are they local? How many deals or transactions did they do that year? And most of all, where does their data come from? And when I say where their data comes from, is it coming from Zillow, Trulia, FlipComp, any of these, or is it coming from the MLS? You should go and always look at data, or as I like to say, from the back of the house towards the front of the house. Meaning this, if the buyers of your rehab property are going to use conventional financing, that means your conventional lender is going to use an appraisal, and is also going to use MLS type comps. So why not start at the beginning with that information? So knowing what sources and knowing where the wholesaler gets that information will definitely tell you how much credibility he's wanting to have with his business. So that was definitely a great question there. Let's see here. All right, open to more questions if you guys have that. For those of you that want to know a little bit more about us, please feel free to scan the barcode right here. Excuse me, guys. And you'll be able to see a lot of information about StratiVentures, get to know us more. I always invite people to have one-on-one sessions with us so we can get familiar with you. And most of all, I think if we can help you see any paths or help you kind of, brush through the weeds of what you thought this business is about, or it's about asking questions, open up and ask questions, guys. Let's see, we had a question here. It says, I've met a few wholesalers recently that tell me they use to flip, but are just not wholesaling. What could be the reason for that? Okay. Gloria, that's a very, very good question. And it goes back to a question that I always ask a wholesaler. Number one is if the wholesaler is presenting a viable transaction, meaning good comps, good repairs, meets your margin numbers, 70 to 75%, and mathematically, however you're funding this is going to make you money. My question to them is, why aren't you doing it? Right? It sounds a little crazy, but go ahead and ask them. Why aren't you doing this? And a wholesaler is going to tell you, well, I have about 3 or 4 flips on the ground right now, and so I'm wholesaling this one. What do you think would be the next question is, great, I'd love to take a look at them. Is there a way I can learn more about you? I want to know more about your business. Let's go visit your contractor. Let's go take a look at those projects that are on the ground. Well, they're probably going to do a step back and kind of go, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why are you asking me this? Is because you want to find out, are they telling you the correct information? Because the ones that are telling you that they used to flip and now are wholesaling is because there have been factors of either credit, financial stability, and most of all, there's partnership issues or things that may have occurred. You have to think about the number of people that are in wholesaling right now probably is tenfold to the amount of people that are investors. So why would you want to get into the race where there's more people instead of less? So I hope, Gloria, that answered your question there. Let's see, do we have any info on understanding settlement statements or on buying on the buying end of and selling end of the house? Absolutely, guys. Those of you, we use a company called North American Title, and North American Title is a company that offers in their NAT Suite platform, which is open to anybody. They will give you your project breakdown, your closing cost breakdown, and you just have to input that data, guys. That's called a net sheet, N-E-T sheet, your net sheet. I think every investor should do that when they're looking at a project at the beginning, and then look at it during the middle of the project, and then run a net sheet right at the end so you guys know exactly where you are, what the bearings are on this. Should you accept this offer? Should you not accept this offer? One of the other biggest common mistakes, guys, is you may be running short on funds on your repairs. Do you really need to add that extra piece of sizzle feature that's in there? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it depends on how it's presented, how it's listed, and most of all, did you start the repairs and selections correctly on the property? So Herman, that was a very good question there, sir. But it's your NAT suite through North American Title will give you that information there. Let's see here. So we got a new message right here. Let me see, where did that one come from? Here we go. When working with wholesalers, is it important to have a local wholesaler or a national virtual wholesaler? Wow, that's a great question. Virtual wholesaling. Let's think about that. Virtual wholesaling. That is somebody who has not walked the property. That is somebody who probably data and where they get their data is not coming from a local base. It's not coming from somebody who knows the area, understands, you know, the ins and outs of why this zip code is different to this zip code and why this street is different to this street, especially in a city like Houston. If those of you that are in Houston, is that we have no zoning, guys. Because we don't have zoning, it's the wild, wild west. And so that means every neighborhood has its own characteristics and IDs that make it special. So virtual wholesaling may be a good way to get a lot of opportunities and exposure and leads, but I highly recommend you always work at a local level with a local wholesaler. Same thing, local realtor, local title company, local funding. And those relationships can be cultivated as long as you do your business to business questions, interview people, ask them questions why. You know, why do you want to work with me? Where do you get your data? How many deals did you do? Investigate, guys, investigate. Let's see, I want to build a rental portfolio, but still not sure when it's the best time to buy and hold versus flip. Okay, that's a great question. Knowing your exit strategy is very important because that's going to tell you your time. You know, if you're going in with a property from the beginning as a flip, guys, continue your path as a flip. That's called active investing, which means if you are in a good market, you'll be able to gain your returns as soon as possible and you'll put money to work because you obviously bought it with a 70 to 75% project cost. Anything above 80%, guys, because your market will make its changes. Your exit strategy will adjust. Your repairs and overages will happen. That's when you can definitely make a change is if you're going above 80% to know whether you should hold it or flip it. But if you're already in this, all validated comps and repairs at 75% or below, follow that path, get to the end of it, and sell that property, guys. And there's probably more properties out there that meet the 80% or above nowadays because of the saturation of market. So you now actually have more options. You know, should you buy it? Should you flip it? Should you buy it? Should you hold it? But just remember, guys, if you're going to buy and flip, you have your exit strategy, which is the salesperson and the family buying it. But if you're thinking about holding it, make sure you have your takeout options available, your mortgage financing. Make sure you don't have it. You don't look for these things while you're in mid-project. These are things that should have happened prior to you engaging in that exit strategy. So that was a great question there. All right, let's see here, guys. See if we have any other questions. Let's see here. Yep, got a message here saying that was a great question. Excellent. All right, guys. So we'll leave it open here for a couple more questions. If you have that, feel free to ask anything that you would like to ask in regards to, you know, the common things that can occur and mistakes that happen. We've probably seen them all. We talk to people from almost every real estate education company that's out there. I think we service right now 8 national real estate educations and local education companies, and the people that get education, but we put them into an implementation format. So we would really love to work with every single person that's out there. feel free to go ahead and fill out that or go to that investorrealestatetraining.com webpage. And I really feel that you guys will have a great experience in knowing a little bit more about that. So I'll go ahead and stay on here for the next 5 minutes or so. All right. Yep, that's right. Enid here says, go ahead and scan the QR code. And then that's actually, you know, technology that'll put you guys out. You'll be able to see everything that SVI does. Let's see here. And by the way, the gentleman that asked about the settlement statements, that is free. It's a free service from North American Title. So remember, go to natsuite.com and then that'll. Here's a question that just came in. What are the best marketing strategies in Houston? Well, that marketing is always something that goes up and down. And common mistakes, being that this is the topic, is the most common mistake is that you don't have enough marketing strategies on the ground. If you just have one avenue, you're only going to get one certain type of response. I strongly believe that you need to have at least 3 marketing avenues constantly implemented. One has a direct mail effect. Another one has a relationship-based effect, which are your realtors and wholesalers. And the last one, guys, we have to beat the pavement. We have to knock on doors. We have to meet the people in which we're buying properties from. And I say that with the most respect, is that if we are buying from wholesalers, and if a wholesaler can do that, why aren't we doing it? Make sense? And everybody at SVI knows that, because it's kind of like beating a dead horse here, is if a wholesaler is able to lock down a project or a property to sell it to us at a higher price, we will always be able to make a better offer than the wholesaler if we're the ones knocking on the door. So there you go. There's your 3 avenues. The direct mail, because it's mass exposure, and obviously it's the most costly. The relationship marketing, which is your realtors and wholesalers. Remember, you need to be out there building better credibility with both of those people or people in your business. And the other one is getting out and knocking on doors, guys. And probably, I think one of our most special SVI members, Lynn Deffenbaugh, he said that the highest rate of failure in real estate investing is because you quit, right? It's because you simply give up and you simply quit. So SVI is all about helping people move forward. So we really want to be able to work with as many people as possible. All right. So does anybody have any other questions there? If not, we can go ahead and start wrapping this up here. Let's see. I hope all this information was good for everybody. It's just a different perspective. It's not about numbers today, you know, it wasn't anything about that. It was more about making sure that people understand, you know, what are the mistakes and things to look forward. All right, guys. With that said, just remember every Monday from 6:30 to 7:30, we have the SVI industry webinar, and we're always inviting speakers and bringing more value. If there are people that you want to have on or certain topics, please feel free to let Enid or Oriana know. And we'll do our best to make sure to get quality people to come in and work with us. So with that, I hope everybody has an enjoyable evening. Enjoy your family.